The Pistons since 2020 have consistently been one of the worst teams in the league. And last year, many fans thought they would take a lead, but that was not the case at all, as in 2024, they went 14-68, and they finished dead last in the Eastern Conference. Now heading into 2025, a lot of people questioned if they'd finally take a leap, and it looks like they have, as Detroit currently is 39-31 and 6th in the Eastern Conference. So how have the Pistons finally been able to turn things around after a few years of being, again, one of the worst teams in the league? Well, that is what we're going to be going over in today's video. But before we do get started, of course, go ahead and hit the like button if you guys end up enjoying the video, since it really does help out the channel. And of course, subscribe if you guys are new and you guys enjoy new content like this. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get things started. Now we'll start things off by talking about the star of the show, that of course being Cade Cunningham. Cade is easily the Pistons' best player, and he's been their franchise guy ever since he was drafted in 2021. In my opinion, Cade Cunningham's been one of the better point guards in the NBA ever since he entered the league, but I feel like the media oftentimes kind of overlooked him due to how bad Detroit was before this season. But this year, he's been averaging 26 points per game, 9 assists per game, 6 rebounds per game, while shooting 46% from the field and 35% from 3. He was also named an All-Star this year, and I think he 100% deserved it. I mean, Cade Cunningham, he was playing at an All-Star level, and he's been having the best season of his career by far in 2025. And offensively, he can do anything you want from a guard, and mind you, he is 6'8", and he's also he's pretty good defensively as well. I mean, Cade Cunningham, he's also really young and only turns 24 this year, and in my opinion, he has the potential to be a perennial All-NBA level player, and he could be a superstar. But either way, there's not much else to say about Cade Cunningham besides the fact that he's really good, and he's only going to get better from here on out. I also do want to talk about Jaden Ivey, because even though he suffered a very gruesome leg injury in January, and he probably won't play for the rest of the season, unfortunately, I think he's still a very key cog of this team. I mean, this season before his injury, he was averaging 18 points per game, 4 assists per game, and 4 rebounds per game, while shooting 46% from the field and 41% from 3. He is really good offensively, and he gives the Pistons another scoring option and playmaker, and this season he really improved his three-point shot, which is something a lot of people were hoping would improve coming out of Purdue. Jaden Ivey, he went from a pretty mediocre three-point shooter to a very good one, and if you ask me, he is the Pistons' second best player when healthy, and I do think that Jaden Ivey has the potential to be an all-star, and with time, he can easily reach his ceiling. Now besides those two, veterans like Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Tobias Harris deserve a ton of credit, as they've all been very good role players for this team. Malik Beasley has been awesome for the Pistons, as he's been averaging 17 points per game while shooting 44% from the field and 42% from 3 on 9 attempts per game, which is obviously fantastic. Along with that, THJ has been averaging 10 points per game on 36% shooting from 3, and Tobias Harris, while he hasn't exactly been great from 3, he's been averaging 14 points per game and 6 rebounds per game while shooting 48% from the field, and he's a decent starter. You also got Jalen Duren, who is decent, and he's super young, as he only turns 22 this year. And Jalen Duren, I don't really think he has superstar level potential, but I do think he could be like a good starting level big to maybe even a borderline all-star level player. And this year, he's been averaging 11 points per game and 10.5 rebounds per game while shooting 69.5% from the field. Another young player that the Pistons also have is Ausar Thompson, and Ausar Thompson, he did deal with some injuries to start the year, but he's been very good in his second season, as he's been averaging 10 points per game and 5 rebounds per game, along with 2 steals per game, while shooting 55% from the field, and he's doing all of this in only 21 minutes per game. Ausar is really good defensively, and at this point, I just want to see him, expand his offensive game, since that's all he really needs to work on now. Ausar Thompson, he's not a very good shooter right now, but I do think that maybe one day he could be an okay shooter, and I think improving, his ability to shoot the ball would go a long way in him developing, as an offensive player and just a player in general. But either way, I do think Ausar Thompson does have pretty good potential. I definitely think he could be like an all-star level player, or at the bare minimum, like a good starting level guy. Either way, I do like Ausar Thompson a lot. The Pistons also do have Ron Holland, who they drafted in the first round in the 2024 NBA draft, and he hasn't gotten a lot of playing time this year, but in my opinion, he does have quite a bit of potential. He could be very good defensively, and offensively, he could be very good scoring inside the arc, and who knows, maybe he does improve his three-point shot, which was deemed a very big criticism of his, heading into the NBA, but I do believe that with time, and if he can develop as a player, Ron Holland can be a very good contributor to this team. The Pistons also do have Isaiah Stewart, who's a fine backup center, and he's really good defensively. In the past, he's been a pretty good stretch big, but this year, I don't know what's been up with his three-point shot. It just hasn't been hitting. But either way, he is very good defensively. JB Bickerstaff also does deserve a lot of credit for this team's turnaround. Now, I do know the Cavaliers fired him for a reason, and he obviously was not perfect. And to Cleveland's credit, Kenny Atkinson has been an absolutely amazing head coach. I mean, you see how good the Cavs have been this year. But with that said, I never thought JB Bickerstaff was an awful head coach, and it's undeniable that he's been a big upgrade for the Pistons compared to Monty Williams last year. The Pistons have improved all across the board, in various team stats when you compare to 2024. I mean, last year, they were 26th in defensive net rating and opponent points per game, but this year, they're 9th in defensive net rating and 14th in opponent points per game. Then when you look at their offensive team stats, they're much better, as in 2024, they were 27th in offensive net rating and points per game, but this year, they've jumped all the way up to 11th in points per game and 16th in offensive net rating. Now, none of those ranks are elite necessarily, but it's been a massive improvement compared to last year. And JB Bickerstaff, like I said before, he's been a very good head coach for the Detroit Pistons. And again, he deserves so much credit for the Pistons, turning things around. And I think a large reason why the Pistons offense is much better this year compared to last is because the spacing and roster construction is just so much better. I mean, in 2024, the Pistons spacing was terrible. I mean, they were the 5th worst three-point shooting team, and that made defending them, much easier, and that just made their offense, worse. But this year, they've jumped all the way up to 15th in three-point percentage, and that can really be attributed to, the addition of guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, plus Jaden Ivey. He improved a lot as a three-point shooter. Now, 15th, it's not exactly an elite rank, but I will say it is much better compared to last year. And the Pistons, their offense and their team has benefited a lot from the improved spacing. Now, at this point, I think that Detroit will finish the year as the 6th seed, and I think they'll make the playoffs. They're probably going to face the Knicks in the first round, and while anything is possible, I think more likely than not, they are a first-round exit. But even with that being said, this year has been a massive success for the Pistons. And if you're a Detroit fan, you've got to be extremely happy, because in my opinion, the Pistons, they've been the most surprising team, this NBA season. And for the first time in a while, they have a lot of hope, and this team is finally headed in the right direction after a few years of sucking. If they can continue to develop, to build around Cade Cunningham, and their young players continue to develop, then the Pistons could very well be contenders in a matter of a few years. But yeah, man, the Pistons, they've had a very good season, and I'm very excited to see what they do in the future. But that's all I gotta say for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and then check me out on social media. The links to my Twitter and my Instagram are in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.